our questions to Judicaelle today are going to be around. So Judicaelle, you are a known vocal feminist whose online presence is appreciated, but also attracts a lot of violence and abuse. Why is the online space an important feminist frontline for leadership and politics? First question. Second is, how do women and others protect themselves on these spaces? And what are some lessons you have learned?
Many of us who joined online space to organize joined because we believed that the internet was a safe space for us to unpack about the realities of our everyday life. Personally, I remember my first years on the internet when I started being vocal on personal struggles, especially what was happening back home in Burundi. It's because Twitter at that time was like a safe space to truly use hashtag to unpack on what was happening. And unfortunately, just like the patriarchy exists in offline spaces, it followed us in online space. So we got to realize how women are not even space online as much as we thought we were. But the thing about online spaces is that these tools have become some of the tools we have used to do one of the best feminist organizing we have seen on the continent, in terms of building solidarity, in terms of teaching each other, in terms of using hashtag to unpack about the collective work that needs to happen when it comes to African feminism, and also building safe spaces for younger feminists to not only embrace the term feminist, but also be in community with each other. So that will be acknowledged. And I think another thing that we can acknowledge when it comes to online work is that most of the online spaces, and I'm gonna be specific and talk about Twitter, is that Twitter become a safe space where you could be shrinked in an offline space. You could not be able to talk about your story in offline space, but the moment you can access Twitter, the moment you can tweet, there was a power behind having a platform to share your story on your own way without having to depend on anybody. But unfortunately, the violence multiplied over the years, and I know many of the feminists who are in here have gone through the online abuse and online violence that we have gone through over the years. But I can also emphasize on how it has gotten better. I don't think the violence we went through in 2014 is the same violence we are going through today when it comes to Twitter. With more years and more consistency and more organizing, we were able to mark our grounds and be able to say, this is our grounds, we're not going anywhere, we're gonna make space for us. So what are the learnings I've learned by using online spaces to organize, to mobilize, but to also do activist work? I think one of the best learning that I have learned is to exist in a community, even in online space. I think we underestimate how much of survival that women have to do demands community. You cannot survive the patriarchy alone. You have to be in a community, and that is the same thing online. The people who have kept me together when I was going through a lot of online abuse, online violence, a lot of nude shaming, slut shaming that was happening online are the community of African feminist sisters who kept me together, who stood by my ground, who also encouraged me. So there's that collectivity that is needed to find your community of online sisters, community of sisters who you can not only share a safe space with to unpack a lot of conversation that is needed, but also who you can run to where the patriarchy is coming at you. That is one. Two is to rest. And I want to emphasize on all of that because many of us on this call are young feminists, and young feminists who are doing a lot of extreme work. Most of us are on the front line of different movements in different parts of the continent. And I think we really underestimate the need for constant rest when it comes to the danger that comes with the work, especially in online spaces and offline spaces. I don't think anybody can go through bullying from Monday to Sunday and be okay. So rest demands that you disconnect. Rest demands radical choices like muting things that are triggering you. Rest demands that you put your account on lock when it's needed. Rest demands a lot of radical choices that demands that you put yourself first and your mental health first and your well-being first. Those are the most two important things that I have learned. I think another thing that I've learned over the years is that you cannot carry on movements alone. You cannot carry on the online organizing alone. So there's this whole thing of, especially African women and Black women who have large platforms on the internet. The moment you become vocal on a certain topics, you are expected to be talking about every single topic that is going on in the community. And sometimes not only you do not have the emotional capacity, but also you do not even have the range. Sometimes you do not know what's really going on for you to talk about it. So I feel like because of how Black women and African women are expected to be taking care of everybody and everyone, we sometimes found ourselves in a lot of conversations that we really don't have the range and the energy to be doing. So you need, as I said, you need a community of people who offer you a space to say, I don't know about what's going on here, but I'm willing to learn. But I think what I would say in conclusion is that not only online spaces have really defined a lot of feminist organizing on the African continent, and it still does, because a lot of us are in community with each other because of online spaces like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We have become offline friends, offline comrades, offline partners doing work that started in online spaces. But the reality of online spaces also demands that we do not take for granted that we need to be in community with each other, even in offline spaces. You know, it is easy to be in community with each other online, not be aware of what everybody is going through at the front line offline. So we need to translate the accessibility that online spaces have given us towards each other, where I can feel that, oh, I am in community with Jama. She's in Gambia, but she's my sister in solidarity. It demands that I also get to make time to learn about the ongoing struggle in the Gambia, to really build a solidarity that even platform like Twitter won't exist. I can still be in contact with Jama. I can still learn about the frontline work that is happening. So I think that is one of the key things that should happen for especially the African feminist movement, the young feminist organizing happening. Thank you. That is all for me.